In this video, we're going to look at how you answer a 9-mark question. We're going to focus on Spec Paper 2, Bambino parties. The question is, Sonia wants to have her website designed to promote her own business, which will cost £4,800. She has two options: take out a loan, which will be paid over 2 years, or take on her friend as a partner. You need to argue both of these and then choose which one is the most or the better option for Sonia. Answering this question, you'll do so in 3 paragraphs. Paragraph 1, you'll talk about the loan of 4,800. Paragraph 2, you'll talk about the friend joining, and paragraph 3, you'll do a conclusion. So in paragraphs 1 and 2, make sure now you use the peel technique to structure your answer effectively. So you start off by making a point, then you'll explain it by saying this is because or this means that. Then you talk about the impact, what is the effect of this, and this is really important that you do this if you want to get to the top level in the mark scheme. So you talk about as a result, therefore, this could lead to. And if you really want to stretch your answer further and build in some evaluation throughout, you can include the word however at the end of each paragraph. And for your conclusion, you'll use simple sentence starters like to conclude, my most important reason, however this depends on, because, even though, and in the short term, long term. It's important to remember though before we start that in a class, okay, you're going to have a mixture of abilities, so not everyone's going to be writing to the same depth. Alright, so you need to take this into account. So what do we know about Bambino parties? So looking at the case study, it's really important you spend time reading it. There will be clues in there and there'll be facts and figures that you'll need to apply in your answer. So we know that she's been running a party business for over 2 years, so that means she's experienced in running a business. Last year her profit was 8,000. She wants to increase the number of parties by 20%. She has a friend who asked her to work part-time. She's been doing well with designing backgrounds. She now wants to become a business partner though, and she's offered £3,000 for 50%, and in return she'll work full-time. Her current payment system is important to take note of too, because at the moment the customers pay a 10% deposit and pay the rest afterwards. However, her suppliers are paid in advance, and that has an impact on her cash flow. And as you can see here in June and July, and even in August, okay, she has a deficit in her cash flow. So June is minus 4,400, July is minus 4,400, and August is minus 1,000. However, she makes that money back over time, and in September her cash flow is positive, where she has 2,700. Now in this question, it's really important that you include financial data. It says it in the mark scheme that it needs to be included, and there's lots of it in this question, so just be aware and think about how you can use it effectively. 2 options would be to think about, she receives the £3,000 from her friend. This would be immediate, okay, go straight into the business. However, you could argue she's losing 50% of the business, and if you look at last year's profits, she would have received £4,000, which is more than what she's putting in, okay? And also, depending on her credit rating, her monthly repayment of the loan would be somewhere between £200 to £300, which means paying it back is affordable. Again, just remember before we start, not everybody is going to be writing to the same depth. Depending on what your grade is you're trying to achieve, okay, your teacher might give you some guidance on this, but not everybody will be writing to the same depth, okay? So let's go. So an advantage of taking out the loan is that she will receive the full amount of money needed in order to set up her website. So this will mean that she gets to keep 100% ownership of her business. So as a result of this, as a result of having 24 months to pay off the loan, payments will be somewhere between £200 to £300, which is quite low. So therefore, Sonia can expand her business and still pay her suppliers, which will allow her to keep her business from going into liquidation. Now to build in some evaluation, you could just put in a however at the end of the paragraph. However, this depends on her credit rating and the bank approving her loan, so it is crucial that her cash flow forecast shows exactly how she will be able to afford paying it back. Paragraph 2. An advantage of taking your friend on as a partner is that she'll receive an immediate cash injection into her business of £3,000. This would mean that she would only need to borrow the £1,800 instead in the form of a loan or overdraft, which is a lot less than the £4,800 she originally planned to borrow. Therefore, she should easily be able to set up her website and not have to worry about the repayment amounts, which would be less than £100 per month. So as a result, she and her friend could focus on how they'll market and promote the website, which could help them to achieve their objective of growing the number of parties by 20%. And again, if you're trying to build in some evaluation, put in a however at the end. So however, they might need some money to do this, so they will need to figure out how it will be financed. Now paragraph 3 is your conclusion. You choose which option you think Sonia should take. There is no right or wrong answer as long as you fully justify it. Alright, and remember, not everybody will be writing the same depth depending on your target grades and what you're trying to achieve. So to conclude, I think Sonia should take out the £4,800 loan. My most important reason is because she gets to keep full ownership of her business. Looking at last year's profits, her friend would have received £4,000 as her share, which is £1,000 more than she would have put in. However, success of this option depends on Sonia putting a plan B in place in the event of her friend leaving, okay? Because she was not made partner, we don't know how she's going to react. She might decide to leave the business. So Sonia needs to be prepared for that. And she also needs to be able to manage her finances effectively. So even though the payments will be between £200 and £300 per month, the fact that her suppliers want payment in advance could put her into more financial difficulty. So she needs to be careful. In the short term, I recommend she tries to renegotiate a better deal with them so they can make sure that her cash flow problems improve. And in the long term, she should think about a more appropriate pricing strategy, seeing as she only receives 10% of the payment in advance. Now, thinking back to what I said at the start, if you find this challenging, okay, you won't need to do all the steps. You might want to do steps 1, 2, and 3 from each part of the paragraphs. So this is what your answer would look like. If you're more confident and you find this easier to do, okay, and you can develop your answers in more detail, then this is what your answer would look like. However, if you're an expert at this and you know exactly what you're doing, okay, you want to build an evaluation throughout, this is what your answer would look like. You can see in green there where you've built in the evaluation. So that's all from today. Okay, for more tips, go to extendedwriting.com. If you're a teacher, check us out on Facebook, or we're on Twitter as well. And remember, every mark matters, so make sure you practice your technique.